the headrest right before the race started. And this switch powered on a magnet hidden in his car. That magnet pulled him toward the metal plate in front. So the instant the plate dropped forward, it gave his car a little yank, which was just enough to get him ahead, letting him win the race. But officials, if you dump a body, then pour in concrete until it hardens, some people think it wouldn't decompose, making it the perfect place to hide a body. But bodies are already full of bacteria, so gases still build up, and soft tissue collapses. Empty spaces can form inside the block. The smell can also seep through the concrete, meaning the body isn't frozen in place, it's still changing. And those changes can leave behind hidden clues that forensic scanners may be able to detect. Imagine you wrote your biggest problem on a slip of paper and folded it up. 100 strangers do the same thing, but they toss their biggest problems into a bucket. Now you have the option of dropping yours in, shaking the bucket around, and grabbing a random slip of paper. But whatever you grab is your new biggest problem. Now, you might get lucky and grab something simple, or you could pick something devastating. Would you do it, or would you hold on to your problem a little tighter? If you dropped a giant fan into the middle of Antarctica and tried to blow the cool air all the way up to Los Angeles, it would need to travel over 8,000 miles to get there, meaning the fan would have to blow over twice the speed of a level 5 hurricane, which would take 5,000 times as much electricity produced in the world. As it traveled up, the wind would also lose a lot of its power along the way, meaning that by the time it reached Los Angeles, it would probably just be a faint breeze. If you dropped drill small holes around the lower end of a PVC pipe, then bury it beside your plants with the holes below the soil. Next, add a small amount of old leaves and cover them with food scraps and shredded paper. Then place a heavy lid on the top to keep bugs and predators out. Now the food draws worms in through the holes, where they break the scraps down, and after feeding, they move through the surrounding soil, loosening it while leaving waste behind. This turns your scraps into nutrients that your plants can feed on. Drill small holes around. Before she left for school, she asked her mother to cook pork for dinner. She was happy to, but after it was cooked, she had a stroke, and the girl came home to find her on the floor. After she died, her family froze the pork meal she had cooked, but the girl couldn't bring herself to eat it, knowing it was the last time she would eat her mother's cooking. It sat in the freezer for 5 years, until she was finally ready. With the help of a chef, the meal was freshened up, and when the girl took the first bite, all those memories came flooding back. Every time her mother had cooked her favorite meal, making her cry as she ate it for the final time. McDonald's had the Quarter Pounder, so A&W launched the Third Pounder. It was bigger, but it cost the same, and they thought customers would obviously choose it, but they did not. And when they interviewed them and asked them why, they said since 4 was bigger than 3, the Quarter Pounder was obviously bigger, meaning the customers were just bad at math, resulting in the cancellation of the Third Pounder. She begins to panic because someone is approaching her too suddenly. Tiny sensors in the dress detect the change in her breathing, while also tracking the person's movement. And when those two signals line up, small motors in the shoulders activate, shooting out a circle of protective spider-like arms, creating space around her and warning them to keep away. But if someone approaches calmly and her breathing stays steady, those same arms soften, almost inviting them in. If you drop a rat into a jar of food, it would eat freely, sleep when it's full, and do the same thing day after day. Now, at first, the jar would be so full it could reach the top easily and leave whenever it wanted. But the more it eats, the emptier the jar gets, slowly pulling the rat away from the exit without it even noticing. And even though it's comfortable, it's slowly trapping itself inside. And this is the same for human comforts. The more you sink into your comfort zone, the harder it is to escape, until you're in so deep that doing anything else feels almost impossible. During the race, his hamstring suddenly tore inside his leg, and he collapsed onto the track, while the other runners raced towards the finish. Years of training and planning were gone in an instant. Then he grabbed his hamstring in pain. Medics rushed toward him, but he waved them away. Then, somehow, he forced himself back to his feet and started hopping toward the finish line. Every step looked painful, and he got to a point where he could hardly take another step. Then the crowd watched as a different man broke through security and ran onto the track. It was his father. He wrapped an arm around his son and helped him keep going step by step. They were the last to cross the finish line, but 65,000 people stood. They pulled the dipstick from the truck and quietly